Welcome back, crew. It's a bit late, but this month we are diving into the monster-filled Vampire the Masquerade RPG by Renegade Studios. And today we're going to be kicking off the month of October with our first impressions of the system. For anybody that's new to the channel, each month we pick a different tabletop RPG and dedicate the whole month to it. Going through our first impressions, how to build a PC, core mechanics of the system, how to run combat, and usually doing something unique for the system to let it show off what it's made of. As always, we end the month with a live, actual play of the RPG where we put the system through its paces, as well as give away a free copy of the PDF core rulebook for the system. And Vampire the Masquerade will be no different. We're starting the month with our first impressions. This week, we'll be going over how to build a vampire PC utilizing the vampire rule sets. We're going to go through core mechanics of the system, as well as something special. We're going to be going in depth on kind of how the hunger mechanics work, the humanity mechanics, as well as just kind of how to bring out the horror and kind of the dynamics that Vampire the Masquerade is looking for at your table. So stay tuned for that, but make sure you come by Monday, October 30th at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. We're doing our live actual play. We're going to be going through the system, putting it through its paces, as well as giving away a free PDF copy of the Vampire the Masquerade or rulebook to one lucky viewer. So make sure you come through and get to check that out. And also, big shout out to this one. I could be actually a player in this game. So we rated a guest DM, that old DM. Look him up on Twitter if you're not familiar with him, or check out Todd Moonbounce's Mothership playthrough. He was the warden for that game. He's going to be our DM or our storyteller, I should say, for the Vampire the Masquerade one shot. So I'm going to be putting my player's hat on. So definitely make sure you guys come through for that. And hopefully the dice will be with you and you'll be able to bring home a free copy of the core rulebook. Well, let's dive into our first impressions. This one, definitely check out my genre video. I did just yesterday, but this one's kind of thinking about it. This isn't my usual genre. I usually kind of stick with the sci-fi, fantasy, heroics. I've actually did a little count on my the games we played so far. I think I've only had two games that didn't kind of fall into those categories, and they were both horror games. So definitely kind of the fourth category there, which Vampire the Masquerade kind of fits in a little bit on that side. But definitely kind of cool to break out my shell a little bit and get to try out Vampire the Masquerade. And one of the big things with this one, I feel like people may get confused. This is the fifth edition of Vampire the Masquerade. This is one of the kind of tent pole or one of the old kind of flagships of the tabletop industry outside of D&D. And they've been around for a while. But one thing, and I feel bad for systems outside of D&D that get to fifth edition. I find people just assume now it's a kind of a knockoff of a D&D 5e or utilizing D&D 5e rule sets, I should say. Well, it is their fifth edition for Vampire the Masquerade. They've got their complete own rule sets. It's not related to D&D in the slightest. So I know I'm not sure how many may be confused on that part, but I wanted to make sure to shout that out because I do feel like D&D's Shadow kind of almost stole the fifth edition from Enable a little bit. But this is their fifth edition, and then this will be the one that we're going to be going through and playing. But yeah, just kind of going through. This will be my second time playing. I did a one shot a little while back, so I'm looking forward to diving into this one again. With this, because you're going to be playing vampires. That's one of the core premises of this game is that you're coterie, I think I pronounced that right, of vampires that have been brought together for some reason. And one of the big things this game, and I think they have a whole section on it at the beginning, is you're not heroes. Typically, within a tabletop adventure, especially if you're coming from D&D, Pathfinder, the typical fantasy genres, you're usually the hero, or at least doing a heroic deed with the party. This one, you're the vampires. You're kind of the monsters in this situation. You're undead that feed off of humanity, and you're going to be doing a lot more kind of almost intrigue with this system. It's a lot of like it's a narrative system that really kind of looks to bring out kind of the drama and vampire politics and all of that, and kind of bring that to the table. So this one is definitely going to be kind of more RP focused, we'll say. So definitely, if you're kind of somebody that looks for a lot of like kind of the beat 'em up combat mechanical aspects or combat mechanics, I should say, This may not be the one for you, but if you love narrative stories, love drama, get to explore aspects of humanity and kind of aspects of let's say, morally great, even black, dubious evil, that you don't usually get to bring out at most tables if you don't want to be that guy, this could be the system for you. Because it's all about dealing with lost humanity, or if you're trying to retain it, and dealing with the hunger and monster, and or the beast, as they say, inside of you. It's a cool concept there. So I'm looking forward to kind of get to see that played out at the table a little bit more. So definitely narrative-based system. This one's a cool. I haven't played the dice pool in a while, and I'm looking forward to kind of diving a little bit more into the mechanics. I was pretty a high level view last time I played, so this will be a great refresher, kind of a deeper dive than I really took last time. But it's a D10 system. You use a dice pool, and you get to kind of add in your attributes, your skills, or your disciplines, which are kind of like your powers that you get, and you get to roll those with sixes or higher being successes, tens being crit successes, and so on, and ones being crit fails as well. And with those, usually the difficulty, the storyteller, which is your game master in the system, will set how many of those or how many successes you need to be able to do to complete this. Cool things. We're gonna go into this in our hunger video, but hunger also adds an extra edge on that side where even if you succeed, you could succeed if you crit succeed with your hunger dice, it could be a what I call a bestial success where you can may do something, but then kind of have your monster unleashed a bit, or you could have a bestial failure. I think it is where you fail and you just unleash your inner monster with whatever your clan bane is, your character's flaws are. So they gotta be cool to see that. I like dice pool systems. I haven't got to play a ton of them. I think ones we've played so far, Canadian Crow, I think One Ring too. So it'll be cool to get through another dice pool system and get to kind of compare and contrast on that side. With these two, building your character, I think this is gonna be one of the things we touch pretty heavily in our character build episode. But it looks like so this system is definitely more of a conversation with your storyteller than a lot of other games would be. Like a lot of Pathfinder 2e, D&D 5e, the One Ring even. You can kind of just go off of whatever the concept the game master said is the kind of for the story and just build it within that and any restrictions they may have placed. But a lot of like the Vampire the Masquerade, your backstory features, as well as even your kind of key attributes are going to be need to be fleshed out with the storyteller so they can kind of bring it into the narrative. So I think that's a cool thing on that side. I know timing could be a little bit hard because scheduling an RPG group is probably the hardest feat in any system. But I do like that it's kind of encourages that back and forth between the player and the storyteller to really making sure they get that full fleshed out character in there. Kind of speaking of characters too. So this is classless, kind of, but you have clans versus classes. So your clan will determine a lot of the disciplines and starting powers that you get, and kind of what powers you can kind of build towards. But with this system, it's levelless. You're just kind of able to go through and purchase additional disciplines, powers, or attributes utilizing your experience. Typically, you get experience at the end of each session, too. So you're kind of always advancing versus kind of the typical wait a few sessions and get a level up. So cool on that side. You can kind of buy different attributes, things like that kind of fit your character and can flesh out how they're progressing in this world of Vampire the Masquerade. And one thing too, you keep saying the Masquerade, and if you're not familiar with the property, the Masquerade is usually in your coterie, your group of vampires. One of the big things that they a lot of time revolve around is keeping the Masquerade, which is basically keeping vampires hidden from humans and all who would hunt them. So it's usually a lot of times with the stories I've seen at least revolve around is kind of making people that are either violating the Masquerade or even your group maybe trying to violate the Masquerade and trying to go through and figure out how to handle that. So that's definitely one of the core pieces there. It really does kind of lean into more kind of narrative drama. So definitely one of the things to kind of call out on that side. But overall, I'm excited to dive into this one. I feel like, especially when I went through and looked at my the RPGs we've done on this channel, just RPGs I've played in general, I do feel like I've stuck too much in the sci-fi, fantasy, heroic build. So I'm looking forward to kind of branching out of one of my system norms or my system comforts for the genre style. So it'll be nice to kind of see how this one plays out. That old DM is one of my favorites to play with. So it would be cool to see how that goes. But yeah, definitely shout out in the comments what you like about the Vampire the Masquerade system. I'm just kind of things that maybe we should kind of call out or shout out as we go through our videos. Definitely looking forward to this. I think this is probably the Biggest RPG? I don't know. Outside of D&D 5, yeah, I'd have to take a look, see who's bigger between Pathfinder, Vampire the Masquerade, and Call of Cthulhu. But I think outside of 5e, those are definitely the big three. So I'm excited to get to kind of play the last of the big three that I really haven't took a dive into. But yeah, make sure you come by October 30th for a live actual play and a chance to win free copy of the core rulebook. But come by this week as we go through and build our PC. But thanks for hanging out and until next time.